It all comes down to this. 80 minutes up and down the mountain in Australia to determine our 3 series champions in the North American Racing League. Bobby Flack, Ryan Kerr, and Dino Filippa enter this evening as our 3 leaders, but who leaves Bathurst with the coveted hardware? That's the question we're out to answer this evening on August the 11th. Hi, welcome to Pit Stop TV in the virtual Mount Panorama Circuit. I'm Andrew Cardinale IV with JP Costa alongside this evening. And from a classic Formula One circuit in Japan to a mountain road best known for V8 supercars and a 12-hour GT3 race, JP, we are making a pretty big switch tonight from last week, and that's going to be a challenge for everyone. Not just us in the broadcast booth, not just teams getting ready for this event, but drivers, and they just trying to change that mindset of trying to get everything they can out of Suzuka last week to just trying to survive each trip up and down the mountain here at Bathurst.
Oh, absolutely. You know, you come from Suzuka, we saw plenty of mistakes around there. And then you come from, I guess, one of the most unforgiving racetracks as we had on the calendar. You know, Bathurst, walls are going to be very close and they are concrete walls, so cars will not be forgiven, Andrew. It's certainly going to be a challenge for all of them. The pressure is going to be on for the leaders the leaders of each class, obviously, to deliver performance, but also those that are trying to chase the championship, not to make any mistakes while trying to push for their fastest lap.
Yeah, and there's a lot of things you could talk about here at Bathurst. I think it's easy to just generalize them into, well, it's tough. You know, there are several corners you can mention as we take a look here at the track map presented by Whiplash Simcams. Hell Corner, of course, gets the lap started, and I know it's Hell Corner, but compared to everything you're going to face once you go out of Hell Corner, it is nothing. It is nothing compared to what the name suggests it is. Up the mountain straight, that's a DRS zone for certain cars, not quite for these Porsche Cup cars, but Griffin's Bend really gets things started, and it's very easy, JP, to hit either curb on the apex or the runoff, and I say runoff lightly because there isn't much, but it's easy to hit either curb and have problems, and in these touchy Porsches, they're going to have to be careful on all curbs this evening. I think the only curb you might be able to use is possibly through the chase and maybe Murray's Corner, but that's getting ahead of ourselves. The cutting is also very difficult, and that's usually where we see our first track blocker. If we don't see it in turn 2, it happens in turn 4, either on the entry or the exit. Something always happens in the cutting, it feels like, at least once a night, and we're likely going to see some cars stacked up there.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a high possibility of that, especially, how many cars we have, and obviously drivers eager to get those positions. Then obviously we go to Griffin's Mount. It's a slight lift in turn 6, but obviously then you try to go at nearly flat out if you possibly can. Then you head into turn 9, Solomon Park, turn 10, McPhillany Park as well. And then obviously, Andrew, we come to a very interesting and very fun part of the course, Skyline in the Dipper. Definitely one of my favorite sections in racing, I would say, and definitely could be an interesting point for some drivers out here today.
Yeah, you see it here on the screen, actually. That was perfect timing. Brock Skyline is very tough. It is one of the I think, most famous corners in motorsport, in international motorsport. It is so tough. And really, the combo of Skyline down to the Dipper, it's 4 corners, actually. Skyline is usually a bit of a lift, maybe some braking just to get the nose set right, and then really you're doing all your braking in 12 and 13. It's almost like a chicane before you have to come around another bend to the right. That's turn 13, and turn 14 is the famous Dipper, where you see so many cars get so close to the wall and actually maybe even shed their mirrors there. You are on that wall, and really, of course, you're on the wall through the entire lap, but really, especially in the Dipper, that heads you down the hill some more into very similar corners to what you just went through, but a little more flat into the Forest Elbow, and that's a really awkward braking zone. I think we're likely to see at least a car or two lose the back end braking through turn 17 and before turn 18, and it's very easy to make mistakes on the exit of turn 18. You're trying to carry a lot of speed where you've got a little bit of natural banking to catch the car, and it's very easy to go a little bit too far over that edge and get into the Falcon tire wall on the outside of the course. And believe me, that is the name of the tire wall. Trust me, Falcon tires, it's a thing. Had I done the Conrad straight, though, JP, we're going to see most of our battles. I think that's where we're going to see positions made and lost tonight, for the most part, aside from, crashes and such. But as far as just quality passes, it's going to happen down Conrad and into the chase.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the biggest braking zone in the circuit, the chase. Drivers, as you mentioned, will make mistakes on turn 18 and turn 19, trying to extract as much time as possible. But obviously, a small mistake like that over there is going to carry throughout the straightaway. Then obviously turn 21, the chase, you're going to have a big braking zone. We can see moves from the inside, the outside, forcing driver into a mistake. And then obviously turn 22 is just a slight right-hander as you head into Murray's corner, the final corner of the calendar, Andrew. It will be of the calendar in around 80 minutes. But also, the final corner of the track. And we saw moves happening around there on the final few laps of previous leagues. So I could expect some moves being done there tonight as well.
Yeah, and as we're going to see in a second with our point standings in just a moment, we're really looking at a very tight battle with a lot of drivers, and I think we're likely to see some of that calamity bleed over on lap 1. We're likely to see some of that calamity, I think, just be a portion of tonight's programming, if you will. It's definitely going to be the talk of the town. Let's go ahead and get back into the sim and check out our point standings. As you can see, we're in the morning here at Mount Panorama, actually late afternoon, I believe, so it's... Hang on. I believe it's late afternoon. I believe with where the sun is, it's out behind Mountain Straight. So yes, we'll go with that. I believe it's late afternoon. But let's look at the amateur standings coming into tonight. This is our talking point for the next 35-40 minutes. Bobby Flack coming into this evening with a 10-point advantage over Stacey Bertrand. Drew Swank in that third spot, only 3 more points back, and then Ronaldo Carlos also only 3 more points back in fourth. So realistically, it's likely Bobby Flack or Stacey Bertrand, but mathematically, you are looking at 4 drivers with a chance to win this championship. Ilya Speaker, the first car, a little too far back. Only 23 cars here this evening. So we're talking about Bobby Flack, Stacey Bertrand, Drew Swank, Ronaldo Carlos. Mathematically and realistically, only your top 2, I think, have the best chance. That's not to say Drew Swank can't win this championship, even Ronaldo Carlos. It's just asking for a lot to happen. Especially for Ronaldo Carlos, he would need Drew Swank, Bobby Flack, Stacey Bertrand, all to finish down at the bottom of the order. Bobby Flack especially would have to be 15th or worse. I mean, that's asking for so much to happen tonight. I just don't think it's going to. And you might be able to get Bobby Flack to finish down in the order, but then where do Stacey and Drew go? So again, we're realistically talking about Bobby Flack, Stacey Bertrand, and even then, it's asking for a lot for Stacey to perform tonight when Bobby went second in practice.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a huge task. Obviously, they still need to keep themselves motivated, on that slight possibility. We saw that on season 1, where, the third driver who wasn't really realistically in the fight somehow won the championship. So it could definitely happen at the end of the day. It's racing, but still, it's very unlikely. But that's the thing that keeps us on top of our seats, Andrew, and especially on a track like this, crazy results could definitely happen.
Here's an on board with Bobby Flack, your points leader, as he heads down the Conrad Straight now. He just left Forest Elbow. The lap record here is a 2:01 with the Porsche Cup car. I don't think we're going to see laps quite like that tonight. Probably in the 2:02, 2:03 range at best. This could be a 2:04 for Bobby. We'll see what the lap is. These guys, of course, will get 3 laps around the mountain. And that will be their qualifying effort. Hard into the chase. Milan Harris first lap of 2:06.655. So these guys are actually a little further off pace than I had thought. I say off pace, these guys are on a fixed setup, which is bringing their pace down a little bit as well. This is meant to be a raceable setup, not so much go out and hot lap, which is a big part of things as more times come in. Ronaldo Carlos now to the top of the board, but wrapping up that lap with Bobby Flack, he is fourth quick, JP. A good start for our point leader.
Yeah, absolutely. 6/10 of a second off. Plenty of time still to be found on Bathurst. And something that we mentioned pre-broadcast, Andrew, is the importance of being confident around this racetrack. You absolutely are going to need to build your confidence throughout the qualifying session and throughout the race to make sure you're competitive. You can see here Stacy looks like she just started her lap only 16 seconds into the lap on the main straightaway on the mountain straight. So it's just important to build that confidence. You can be way faster on lap number 3 if you didn't make any mistakes on lap numbers 1 and 2 in qualifying. So I think we're going to see these times dropping quite drastically on the upcoming few laps.
And it looks like we're much later in the day than I thought. We are much later in the day than I thought we would be. We prepped day B-roll for this event and not expecting it to be nearly sunset at this point in the day. So it is rather late right now. We might see some pro racing into the night. But here's Stacey Bertrand, car 52. Working through the parks at the early part of the lap. Let's go back on board with her and see what she's doing around here. It is so tough to nail all of these curbs, all of these apexes without hitting them too much. And that is so... Turn 10, I think, might be one of the toughest corners in a non-downforce car just to get the car around there without tracking too far out. There's so little grip to rely on. And here is the dipper. That's such a commitment corner, of course, down through Coopers and Coatshire walls, if you will, and down to the Forest Elbow. Past the Falcon tire barrier right here. That was not a good run, JP. That's going to be off.
No, yeah, I think she even made contact with the Falcon tire barrier, so that's going to be an incident point. So that lap
she quite got it. She just entered really low into the apex, and that funneled her way out. And that's going to be, I think, a big issue. We're probably going to see at least a few passing attempts into the elbow. It's not normally wise, but I wouldn't put it past a few drivers that really need the spots.
Oh, absolutely not. And I think Stacy just showed exactly the point you mentioned while we were talking about the track, just carrying a bit too much speed, trying to extract that time, and obviously running wide on turns 18. Now, obviously, she's coming up to Murray's corner, the final corner. Now she's going to be setting up for the second lap, as you can see, 2:07.7, Andrew. And that's way off pace currently for the leaders. And looks like, yeah, that lap was invalidated. And so there you go. Needs to try again. And that small mistake sometimes could cost quite a bit of confidence. Meanwhile, Ronaldo Carlos still in first place with a 2:06.1. He's looking good, Andrew. He's doing everything he needs to do. We see a small lockup right there in turns number 3 and 4, but so far, an excellent job for the 22.
And the real problem for Stacy is she's on lap number 3 now. She's actually invalidated laps 1 and 2. So this is all she's got to count. Granted, even a slow lap right now would put her at least 13th position. So there aren't many drivers that have actually completed their laps right now without having some kind of issue. Or, well, there's actually quite a few drivers still that haven't started their qualifying laps. Now Matthew O'Leary goes 19th, finally gets a time in on lap number 2 for himself. As Carlos continues on, here's Matthew O'Leary headed through just left turn number 1. Went 9th on the board, rather. Ilias Speaker in the pit lane, he's wrapped up. Drew Swank has wrapped up. Mike Braun, though, is wrapping up lap number 3 through the elbow. Bobby Flack also wrapping up lap number 3. Nearly identical placement currently, and that was a bit of a bobble there out of the Forest Elbow. That's really going to hurt this lap down the hill. You want to get out of the elbow as fast as you possibly can, as quickly as you can, carrying momentum through that corner to obviously get onto this long straightaway.
Yeah, absolutely. And as soon as you make a small mistake through the final corner, right before the straightaway, you're going to see that relative time drop, and there's nothing you can do about it. Obviously, just keeping your foot flat to the floor and trying to make up time here on the chase. And obviously now Bobby Flack, he needs to improve a bit, Andrew. He's currently in 5th place, and yeah, 5th place is the best he will go. Meanwhile, Ronaldo improving even more his time. The number 52, Stacy, she needs at least a lap, Andrew. Anything, will go at this point, and you can see right here coming up to the final corner, looks like she nails it, doesn't hit the inside curb, which is really not going to unsettle the car. Now as she powers through it, it's a 2:08,
and it doesn't count.
It doesn't. Oh, wow. And it looks like she's going to be starting third to last. Yeah,
That might
Wow.
change. And Louvier pounds the wall. That's going to do it for his qualifying attempts. Billy Bowerman never actually went on track. It looks like Chris Sanchez on track currently. This is lap 0, so he won't get a time in, but he did at least make it onto the racing course. Kerry Corcoran will start 16th. It looks like Michael Clark, Armando Bejaran, Diego Era not making it on track in this qualifying session. So, a lot going wrong for somebody who really needs a lot of places in this qualifying session. Stacey Bertrand going to be starting well down the order. That is going to be a rather large problem.
Yeah, that's going to be a huge problem. Obviously, she's going to have quite a bit of time to make up positions at Andrew, but she's on Bathurst, so it's going to be really difficult. The only positive, I think, hopefully she won't be starting on the mid pack where we might see some incidents. That could be her, I guess, life-saving position, but still, it's going to be a long race for her. And obviously, the other drivers as well, they're contending for the championship.
Let's go ahead and get back into the sim then and go through our starting order for our amateur race here at Mount Panorama Circuit. On pole, Ronaldo Carlos, 16 points out of the points lead. He's got a chance, and he's besting, or at least bettering that chance, I should say, besting the field in qualifying, putting it on pole. That is a good way to start the day if you need these points and these positions. Scott Angelo will start from second for Moradness, and starting third, you'll find car 69 from Rockefeller Racing. That's Milan Harris. John Kroom over his left shoulder this evening. Starting fifth, Bobby Flack, your point leader and likely champion, but we can't say that just yet. Flack will start from the fifth spot, Mike Braun sixth. Starting seventh, it's Dan Willis, then Drew Swank. Third in the points, 13 points out of the championship lead right now, starting from the 8th spot. That's not a bad starting spot, JP, especially if the leaders do something wrong ahead. He can try and take advantage of it. Starting 9th, though, you'll find David Stevenson. Matthew O'Leary grids up 10th.
Starting row number 6, we're going to have Eli Speaker on the inside and Sully Sad on 12th place on the outside lane. Row number 7, Andrew, we're going to have on the inside the driver of number 70, Philip Aderka, and Thomas Amos right alongside of him in 14th place. 15th place on the inside of row number 8, we're going to have Joe Nagy in the 777, and the number 28 of Kerry Corcoran in 16th place. Starting row number 9 on the inside in 17th place, there we go, we're going to have Brendan Louvier in the 888, and the number 77 of Diego Ari starting alongside him in 18th. Finally, row number 10, Andrew, really quickly, we're going to have the number 52 of Stacey Bertrand and Chris Sanchez on the outside.
Waiting on the green flag, sitting here in the flag stand with the flag man. A few other cars, Armando Bejaran, Michael Clark, and Billy Bowerman complete the rest of the starting grid. And wow, what a start down to turn 1. This could get a little bit hairy. And yes, it already has one car backwards. Ronaldo Carlos backwards with Milan Harris. You see the rest of the field heading up the hill, and somebody who did everything right in qualifying to put himself in a position to win this championship has just had it all unraveled. We'll look more at it here in a little bit, but up the hill, look at that. Our point leader is second place, Bobby Flack, leading the line of cars as we've had some separation for Scott Angelo.
Yeah, he did everything right, Andrew. A bad qualifying turned into a perfect race start for him. And you can see, as you mentioned, leading the second pack, essentially, of the race course as he gets all through safely through turns 3 and 4. And you can see there the rest of the field, pretty much everybody single file. Looks like no more major incidents, no roadblock around there. And you can see here this beautiful line of cars going over this beautiful mountain.
The lovely train cam making a return here on lap number 1. We're going to have a lot to look at. We didn't even get our chance to go silent and let you hear the engines just yet. There goes Stacey Bertrand. Oh boy, this is going to be exciting.
Oh, it already is, Andrew. It was already exciting as soon as the flagman dropped. So this is going to be a fun 30 minutes. As you can see now, everybody through the dipper. And you can see a few cars nose to tail already. Looks like a lot of confidence in everybody single file. No one being too aggressive right now. And you can see here
oh, Mike Braun.
Just as I mentioned.
Mike Braun there on Dan Willis, one of the top. Oh, that is Ilya's Speaker in the wall. No, somebody followed her. That was Joe Nagy. Followed him, rather. Teammates now in the Falcon tire barrier. Oh, boy. Rockefeller Racing, that is a tough corner to swallow.
Oh, yes, it is. For one second, I thought it was Stacey, Andrew, in my heart.
I panicked.
In my mouth.
Yeah.
And yeah, but luckily it wasn't. As you can see now, everybody making it through the chase. You can see not a lot of moves being made this early. A bit of separation between cars as well. So looks like everybody taking a little bit easy to make sure they survive lap 1.
To wrap up the lap, Scott Angelo down past our speed shot. He will lead lap number 1, and Bobby Flack will be second. This is big. This is huge, honestly, for Bobby Flack. To have this kind of the start to the race, a lot would have to happen now for him to lose this championship. Drew Swank, his nearest competitor, is 4 positions further back in 8th, and there goes somebody, Matthew O'Leary, around to turn number 1. A great advertisement there, almost like an A-frame for Oceanic Alfie and Maradness as he backs up onto the racetrack, but unfortunately he is dropping well down the order. 17th position, here comes 18th, maybe 19th as, somebody had a spin. That was Michael Clark.
So turn 1 caught a few drivers on lap number 1 and lap number 2 as well, and yeah, but what a fantastic start from Scott Angelo and from Bobby Flack as well, Andrew. I mean, a dream start for Bobby Flack, isn't it? Starting all the way up, I think, in 5th place and jumped straight into 2nd. It was fantastic.
Stacey Bertrand now in the 11th position behind Diego Eda and behind Diego, ahead of Thomas Amos, also behind Sully Sad. So look at this 3-car train ahead of her that she's got to work through. This is including Brandon Louvier, Sully Sad, and Diego Eda. 4-car train now as Stacey comes up to the back of them as they work down to Skyline. Diego might be the first victim, and it looks that way, certainly, as they come over Skyline and head down to the Dipper. Stacey's got her work cut out for her, but she's got to make that work quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. She cannot waste any time following Andrew. She needs to, unfortunately, be aggressive, to make sure she gets all those positions, to make sure she's back in a fighting chance for this championship. So she needs to nail every single corner, every single possible overtake, and you can see right here, she dropped a few tenths of a second. So, I mean, it's just a matter of putting yourself together, putting your head into the game and making sure you maximize every single corner. And then obviously turn the 30-minute race into a 30-minute qualifying session to make sure you have a fighting chance.
That's the big issue. You can see it circled there, P11 right now. She has got to better that. And the other big issue, really, you have to look at the ticker. Bobby Flack is currently in that 2nd spot. I just don't know there's any beating Bobby. 2 seconds back of the leader right now, a 2nd back to 3rd. It's looking really, really good right now to be Bobby Flack and Stacey Bertrand. I'm just not sure. Even if she makes it the spots, I'm not sure there's anything that can be done unless Bobby has some kind of big issue.
Yeah, I think Bobby's worst enemy is himself in the racetrack.
Yeah.
I think only a mistake from his part will take him out of the championship. So at this point, there's kind of not a lot of pressure from anyone but himself. He needs to make sure he stays on pace to make sure, Kroom behind doesn't get too close in a position to make a move. But, he needs to keep up the pace to either challenge Scott Angelo for the lead or make sure he's in that comfortable spot. 2 seconds, if anything happens to Scott, he has time to kind of avoid and react to the situation. But, I mean, a mistake is still definitely possible, especially when you're running that close to the barrier.
Let's also talk about Scott Angelo. I love this livery that he debuted last week at Suzuka. This all black with that yellow stripe Maradness. It's almost like the invert of what we usually see for those cars. Love this. I really, really enjoy this, and I really hope these guys do a few more combination liveries like this. I like how Giuliano Romagnolo, Stu as he's better known, has his own kind of livery from Maradness. I love now that Scott Angelo has got one. I really, really like this. So Daniel Morad, if you're out there listening tonight, more of this, please. Just this little bit of variation is so cool, and this is a stealthy look for Scott Angelo as he powers away to the race lead. 2.5 seconds now nearly as he's led the 2 opening laps of this race.
No, he did excellent, and he got the lead early on right as the flag dropped. We saw, just a perfect launch for him, and that's everything he needed. So right now he's just keeping the car pointed in the right direction, keep putting those laps that are clearly working for him, and just make sure he gets into that comfortable zone, that every driver has, just tune into just the racetrack, and so far he's doing an amazing job doing just that.
Here's a battle down the hill, down Conrad now. Michael Clark looking at Kerry Corcoran and Matthew O'Leary, wondering how in the world he's going to go by. He finds a way to get by Kerry Corcoran, but O'Leary now moves over to the right side, the defensive position into the chase. And a bit of a blink out there for Michael Clark. That's always difficult to deal with as well, as they head down to the braking zone here for the chase now on board with O'Leary. And he will stay well ahead of car 443 as, that car blinked again. And now Billy Barrowman, it looks like, racing with Chris Sanchez, has that spot as Thomas Amos races with Milan Harris.
It's a fun little battle right here as we're going to head into Hell Corner, which, as you mentioned, Andrew, seems to be one of, I guess, the most tamed corner, but for a few drivers, it was certainly the hell corner early on in this race. But this is an amazing four-car battle right here. You can see there, we might see a move on this straightaway. I mean, we know that defending the inside heading into Cuffin's Bend is just really important, but you can see right here, could we see a move around the outside? Well,
Wow.
just did. And
oh! Sanchez tries to follow through and absolutely wipes out Demo. That is a tough pill to swallow for Thomas.
He did everything. He did, I mean, everything right. He did nothing wrong at that point. He's just minding his own business, and unfortunately, got taken out, Andrew.
Chris Sanchez started from the pit lane, it looks like, and unfortunately, trying to make his way back through this field, takes out a competitor on the way. And obviously, Chris does not want to in this case, but, well, we saw what happened as Amos here. Demo's going to move over to the right side and try and defend over Bowerman. Bowerman says, nope, I'll take the left side. So Demo backs out into two and lets him have the corner. And Chris Sanchez just drives through him. That looks a lot like Brandon Louvier in Spoon last week, if you recall, JP, where he saw a car slow down a little further in front. I think it was Diego maybe, in Spoon, and just kind of ran in the back of him. It's really odd.
Yeah, really odd. And I'm not quite sure what happened if it was target fixation. Just, I mean, could have zoned out for just 1 second, and that's all sometimes it takes. Could be also a hardware failure, but you're going to see right here, it's just a massive gap. For some reason, he just points to the inside, not even on the racing line, and, well, unfortunately, Amos, well, did nothing wrong and unfortunately got taken out.
That's really odd. And I really hate that for Thomas, who I've been calling him Demo a couple of times there. That's his stage name, if you will, act name. He is an aspiring musician out of South Africa, and you can find him on Spotify, other music platforms. I actually took a listen myself last week, so big props to him for balancing this kind of schedule. I'm sure that's difficult to do music and to do sim racing, but having fun here getting into sim racing and into these leagues, and was doing pretty well for himself this evening, and then unfortunately gets taken out in that battle. So hopefully he has better things on the way on track, and I'm sure in music as well. And I see Daniel Morad chiming in. Good to have all you guys watching and chiming in on YouTube and Twitch and Facebook chat this evening. How about Dan Willis and Mike Braun? This is a battle for 4th place, and oh boy, this could be interesting.
This is interesting, Andrew, as they head towards the top of the mountain. You can see right here in this fast little section, this is just all about confidence, isn't it? You can see how close drivers will get to that concrete just to get the better racing line. And then here, you mentioned one of the most difficult corners to get the car turned in, and obviously that difficult curb on the outside that could really unsettle the car. Then this beautiful sequence of corners, which is all about confidence. And, well, they keep nose to tail, which means they're confident in the car and the track as well. And you can see it right here, a bit of separation. So we could see a move. Yeah, you can see a bit of a nose pointing up. So in this straightaway, Andrew, depending on who gets the better exit and now the slipstream, we could be seeing a move as we head into the chase.
Yeah, let's go on board here with Mike Braun as he heads down Conrad Straight. An opportunity ahead, but realistically, we do still have 20 minutes of racing. Does he want to try and force anything just yet? It's a long gap from Dan Willis to John Kroom. I'm not sure there's a whole lot of reward versus the risk. And yeah, Mike Braun stays in behind and even gives us a bit of the wipe there on the windscreen. As you can see, we are getting much there. We're going to have a proper night race, it looks like, for the pros and pro-ams. This is going to be interesting.
Oh, it certainly will. I love
Oh, problem. Sully Sad, Diego Eda. Oh, no.
And this is on the chase.
And this is the battle that Stacey Bertrand was in, so you have to wonder if she took any damage.
This is one of the fastest parts of the circuit, if not the fastest. So that was a big hit between those two. We saw big damage to both cars. So we're going to rewind all the way to the dipper. And you can see right here, everyone pretty much on a line. You can see there Stacey and Ronaldo, both nose to tail as well. And I think, Andrew, we're going to see anything. Are we going to see a bit of contact right here? No, but you can see right there. Is that Diego Area just really close? It is, right?
That is Diego on the back end of Sully Sad. Car 79, the white Red Bull is Sully Sad. The black and orange Porsche behind is Diego Eda. Pulls out to the inside into this kink for the chase. Contact there, and there'll be contact again right here. And I'm not sure that either driver was necessarily in the right or in the wrong. That was just contact. And then here comes, well, we'll see in a second, but Stacey goes flying into the apex as well. So a lot to try and digest here.
Yeah, Stacey got a lucky escape right there. It was amazing reflexes or luck, or even both of them, but that was really close to making contact. You can see right here, you're right on the apex of turn 20. Looks like they make a bit of contact mid straightaway, and then here on the corner, you're gonna see, yeah, I'm not quite sure, but look at Stacy. That's what I know. That was also close. Of course, unfortunately, she went off track, but I think it's better to go off track injured than carrying terminal
Yeah.
damage to your car.
Yeah, I would definitely say so, although that does drop Stacey behind Ronaldo Carlos, and now well out of the running this evening for a win. 34 seconds behind our race leader. That's going to be a tough one for her to swallow, just trying to miss that incident. She did a good job of missing it, but an interesting one for sure. Let's look back at this one more time. And, well, I guess we won't be able to look back at it. Anyways, Thomas Amos back on track in car 9, and oh, there's Billy Bowerman in the background. Has just had a spin in the elbow.
And could be one of those things that you mentioned, Andrew. Sometimes the back end just steps out and there's nothing you can do. I think we just saw a prime replay of that. As you can see there, Brendan Olivier, he came into the pits and I think
he's recently had a hit, I believe, out of damage. And we can go back and take a look at this. I'm not sure why he had to come in, but I'm sure we'll see here in just a moment. This is going to be rejoining him in the elbow, and you can see a lot of damage there. Doesn't really wash out to the wall at all out of the elbow, so I wonder if he caught some damage over the top of the mountain and just had to pit for it. I think this is actually right in front of Diego as this battle, so this is actually a good chance to go back and look at this replay one more time and see if we can see exactly what happened between these two. That contact first, and then I think Diego could have been a little further over, and I think Sully could have left a little more room. I also don't think that these guys needed to be side by side in the first half of this race into the chase.
Yeah, I think so too. Either of them could have backed out and tried a better move, but as you mentioned, I think Sully turned in a bit too aggressively, and Diego didn't turn in as aggressively as he may have probably should have. But either way, both of them carried out an instant. It looks like at least Diego is back on track already, but he's going to be in Sully, unfortunately, still on the pit lane. So, yeah, unfortunately, took two cars out of the running. David Stevenson looks like he is currently 21st, Andrew, so he had some sort of incident as well.
And you know what we never really did, JP, is we never went back and looked at the start of this race. As you can see, Stevenson back here, Joe Nagy as well. Nagy is a name that reminded me about the start of the race. I saw him have issues with Ilya Speaker into the elbow on lap 1. So let's go back and see if we can go all the way back to the start of this one. This is going to take us a few moments, but bear with us as we try and get back to the start of this race. We'll have to go to the replay transition one more time, but I definitely want to see what happened to the 22 car. So this is a good look at things, and there is the launch. So this is whatever, he just had a bad start, first of all, and Milan Harris kind of comes across the nose, and we'll have to get another look. I wonder if Milan really comes across, or if Ronaldo could have backed out.
Yeah, we're just going to take a better look at replay of that. But you could see on that replay, Andrew, that Ronaldo, I mean, dropped all the way to third, even before the braking zone. You're going to see right here a terrible start for the 22, a dream start for the number 68. You can see there he gets an initial good launch, but then just a whole lot of wheel spin. And then as we head into the braking zone...
Oh, I think Ronaldo might have gone a bit deep there trying to make up for his bad start.
Already not on the racing line. He was going to be tied on the apex, and I think he just carried a bit too much speed. Milan was it Milan? Either way, he was already turning into the apex, and unfortunately contact was made between both of them.
One more look here. This is on board with Ronaldo, and yeah, Milan had him cleared. That definitely, yeah, I think he definitely could have let Milan have that corner, and they both would have been in better shape the rest of this race. So something to learn from for sure there for Ronaldo Carlos. But what that allowed for was well, a mega start for Scotty Angelo, and that's turned into a really solid opportunity for him to go win this race. I know it's still early as far as claiming the win. 4 seconds, though, is looking good. 4.5 seconds with 13.5 minutes to go. It's a good look right now.
Yeah, it's an excellent look. Looks like he's in control of the pace. Looks like he might not be taking too many risks out there on the racetrack. He might just be on that zone. So far, I mean, it's a dream race for him. Just controlling no one in front of him to distract. He can just focus. And this has turned into pretty much one of those practice sessions that I'm pretty sure they run. Just analyzing tire wear and fuel strategy if they needed to, how the car reacts to different fuel flows, fuel levels, I should say. I mean, it's just a fantastic race from Scott Angelo. And so far, Andrew, is a well-deserved victory. I mean, nothing wrong he did all day long.
A little further back, I see some cars moving around almost side by side, I thought for a moment, but maybe not. Might have just seen a couple of cars stacked in a way that it looked like it. Drew Swank, it looks like, might go into second in this championship battle, albeit even further behind Bobby Flack than these guys started. Drew in the 5th position on track now as he's gotten by Dan Willis. Dan, it looks like, struggling in the latter portions of this race, been passed by Mike Braun and now Drew Swank. But this is a good run to see for Drew. Somebody that's been in the conversation a good bit this season has went P2 at Montreal while Chase Wilson won that race. I thought Drew would be a bigger factor this season as a whole, but looking like he'll be P2 in the standings, it's still a good look for him.
Absolutely, P2 is nothing to be, I guess, ashamed of. It's an excellent result, and so far, he's doing a good race. Obviously, qualifying did not go his way. On race pace, he looks to be there. He looks to have a clean race, but unfortunately, it was not what he needed, I guess, on the final round of the season, was it, Andrew? But he's definitely proved to be a solid driver right here.
Drew working through the early part of the lap has lost a little bit of time to Dan Willis on this lap, so we'll see if Dan is able to maybe bring a battle to him on this. Well, this is lap 9 rather of 15, so we're nearly into the latter portions of the race. Final 10 minutes on the way. We haven't talked yet about weather, but let's talk about it now. 73 degrees in the air, it's almost 74, 75 degrees on track. It's going to cool down, I really feel like, especially with the time being sequential from this amateur race, the pros and pro-ams. We're going to see a bit of a cool race for the pros. How is that going to affect tire strategy? Obviously, we're still going to see these guys stay on the same set of tires, but do we see more guys push to try and keep heat in the tires?
Yeah, I think so. I think we might see a few drivers going more aggressively and allowing them to go even more aggressively if the track cools down, which, as you mentioned, surely it would, right? So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Obviously, fuel, it's going to remain the same strategy I think we're used to. As you can see right here, almost a move right there from Dan Willis. But yeah, it should be interesting to see drivers pushing a little bit more, especially, Andrew, if we see the 2 championship contenders maybe having a bad qualifying session.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that here in a little bit as far as the standings themselves for the pros and pro-ams. But while we have a moment, as things have kind of tamed out for just a little bit, let's talk about our, how we got here at this point in the season. 10 minutes to go in this race. We started things out at Okayama way back on June 16th. Then Austin at Circuit of the Americas, Phillip Island, Silverstone, Montreal, Indianapolis, Suzuka, and now we're here at Mount Panorama Circuit. And we've talked so much about the Formula One feeling to the schedule, at least as far as the circuits being used. Of course, Circuit of the Americas, Silverstone, Montreal, Suzuka are all current tracks. Okayama, Phillip Island, Indianapolis, and Bathurst have all in some way or another hosted a Grand Prix that has gone on to be part of the Formula One circuit in some way, shape, or form. So that's kind of a cool look as well, to have so much of a Grand Prix, a Formula One kind of aspect to the schedule has been very interesting, especially with these cars that are anything but a Formula One car.
Yeah, absolutely. It kind of highlights, I guess, how well the tracks are built as well, because we had excellent racing in pretty much every single round. And yeah, it was just that you mentioned that F1 feeling, that we're kind of used to seeing. If you follow F1, we've been into many tracks that are currently in the calendar, and also some tracks that have hosted F1 events in some way, shape, or form. So it was definitely interesting, Andrew, and the calendar seems to shift so much from season to season, yet, the racing keeps being so amazing. I cannot wait to see what's in the future in terms of, I guess, calendar building.
Well, I know something in the future for this guy, and that is likely a trophy. But hey, I'll knock on wood for this guy. It's not wrapped up just yet, but it's looking so good, isn't it, JP? He has stayed in second the entire race, got a good turn one, just considering he was able to pass 2 cars that he was going to have to contend with for a race win tonight, as they were swept off into the dirt with Ronaldo Carlos and Milan Harris. But this has been everything Bobby has wanted it to be, aside from maybe wanting to be first as opposed to second. That's really all he could ask for to make this evening better for him. He could be one position higher. That's about it. Otherwise, this has been absolutely what he has needed, absolutely what he's wanted.
Yeah, 100%. I think he could have been stressing a bit after the qualifying note starting. You can see there in 5th place could be a bit of a worry, but after turn 1, everything kind of fell on its place. And, well, he did not, make a single mistake throughout the race. He's just been consistently fast. I mean, I think we can certainly say the second fastest car on the racetrack. Just aside from Scott Angelo, he's just been excellent all day long. And if things continue, I'm also gonna knock on wood.
Uh,
He's definitely gonna be happy about this second place.
the Team Empire driver just working on through the mountain. Let's go on board with him and kind of watch what he's doing around this place. I told you guys before the show, I got refamiliarized with Bathurst by taking a Formula One car around here. That might not always be the best choice, but a Porsche Cup car is an interesting one to bring. It's a very challenging race car, as we've seen all season long, and season one or in the spring as well. It is a very tough car to try and get a handle on. The tires go away pretty quick. They never really get underneath you. There's not a ton of downforce. There is a whole lot of power that gets those rear wheels spinning, which is why you burn so much tire as a whole. But this is a very tough car to drive, and especially here.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess it just isn't easy to drive a Porsche car at 100% pace all the time, especially when you throw tracks like this, where you have certain sections of the racetrack where I think you're pretty much driving on three wheels. You're not going to have all four wheels contacting it. And obviously on big braking zones, on throttle areas, it just doesn't make it easy. So seeing these guys, putting such consistent lap times and, being so consistent with the car and driving it with what it looks like so much ease, it definitely shows, I guess, how much practice they have to put in, as looks like Drew Swank was just overtaken by Dan Willis and could be under pressure from Ronaldo soon.
That is correct. That is a very astute observation, my dear JP, as we head down to Murray's Corner. Just under 6.5 minutes to go. Ronaldo Carlos now putting pressure on car 8. A beautiful sunset overhead. This is not what I expected, to be honest with you. We only have day B-roll prepped for a reason. I thought this would be an afternoon race a little bit earlier in the afternoon, but that practice session, man, it worked us right into sunset just about. This is going to be very, very interesting. The headlights are getting brighter. The sky is getting darker. The sight lines are getting tougher to see. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. If it goes full on dark, it's definitely going to be fun. Seeing the drivers having, that extra step of difficulty, Andrew. It's not like we're, in broad daylight at noon. It's going to be full pitch black. So it's certainly going to be yet another challenge for those Pro and Pro-Am drivers later on. And, this so far, I'm just focused on this one. This is an amazing battle. And even though Ronaldo made, those couple of mistakes on lap number 1, so far he's put an amazing comeback race, didn't he? I mean, he's already up to 7th, chasing down Drew Swank, who, as far as I know, had a perfectly clean race so far.
Yeah, and Ronaldo is, despite the contact on lap 1, of course, he started on pole, fastest qualifier. He's only 20.5 seconds behind our race leader. So we only lost about 21 seconds for everything that's gone on for him today. To Scott Angelo. So this could be a lot worse. He could be down outside of the top 10 and mired way back a minute behind, but he's doing his best to keep things intact and make up some points.
And I think he's going to make a few extra points at the end of this straightaway, Andrew. You can see that exit was better than Swank's, and he's already going to be looking down the inside. I don't think the number 8 will fight him too hard with just 4 minutes and 40 to go. I don't think he fought Dan Willis too hard, but as they go side by side towards turn 20, you can see that Ronaldo already has the car, and yep, he clears Drew even before the braking zone up to the chase. So there you go, the number 22 moves up to 6th place, and Drew looks like he lost 2 positions in the span of 2 laps on the same corner.
Well, I told you, the big positions we made by moves into the chase. That's just how it goes here at Bathurst. You set somebody up down around here on the start-finish line to at least get to them if you can, going up the mountain, and then you have to wait behind them the entire time up there and hope that neither of you make a mistake before you get back down to the Forest Elbow and get down the Conrad Straight. So textbook work there we go, from Ronaldo Carlos to Stacy Bertrand looks on. Stacy down there in the 8th position. Some 16 seconds now behind Drew Swank, and it's, again, going to be a tough pill to swallow for Stacy.
Yeah, absolutely. It could have all been changed in qualifying, but we saw, the mistakes, I guess, started over there. And then, obviously, having that avoiding action on the contact between Diego and I forgot who else was there, but, just avoiding a crash and just losing that extra time, I think was the final nail in the coffin for the number 52, as Well, she's just trying to finish the race, I guess, at this point, Andrew. Just trying to nurse the car home. Looks like the car is in perfect state. So it's just a matter, of keeping it like that for the remaining 3 minutes.
Yeah, maybe a dented up right front fender, but that's nothing too crazy here for Bathurst, especially on the iRacing.com sim. Those walls are easy to hit, but I do think for Stacy, it starts in qualifying, certainly, and that is solely on the driver. That's not on the track, that's not on anybody else in the field, that's not on the setup or anybody else. That is on the driver in qualifying. So some driver mistakes there, hitting the wall or hitting a little bit of grass, and I'm sure she's going to look back and see what she can learn from in that qualifying session and hope to not do that ever again. But obviously, you get into the race, and she put herself in pretty good positions, just unfortunately had some bad happenings later on, and got caught up in a thing or two, just wasn't able to make up the positions that she'd wanted as Chris Sanchez and Diego Eder here battle. This is into the mountain. That's through turn number 2, now into the cutting.
And you can see, for 1 second, I thought they were going to go side by side. You can see right there, a bit out of shape as we head into turn number 3 and 4, but looks like they get those positions sorted. I don't think, Andrew, with 2 minutes to go, they want to risk going side by side through such tight parts of the circuit, and it looks like they did. And so that position was done and dusted. And we could be seeing a 3-car battle depending on the pace of these guys. And, well, that's exactly what we're seeing right here. Ronaldo got past Dan Willis, looks like.
Yeah, Carlos making it past Dan Willis, putting Dan back into position number 6. But Drew Swank now with a revitalized opportunity at car 127 as we are at 2 laps to go this time by. And these guys are 21 seconds behind Scott Angelo, who will come around and collect the white flag in a few moments. I say a few moments, about another minute or so. And this is the view from Drew Swank.
You can see just 0.5 of a second separating him between him and Dan Willis. And Andrew, I was just going to point something out. Obviously, I missed quite a few rounds, but I remember early on in the season, Ronaldo I think he won race number 1, didn't he? And I think this race has been, a bit of, I guess, a throwback to, I think, his whole championship. A clearly fast driver, but unfortunately a few mistakes held him back from, I guess, a better position in the championship. And I remember seeing, I think it was on Austin, quite a few mistakes from the number 22. He clearly had the pace like he had today, but I think if he had the season, just mitigating those mistakes, just putting those mistakes away, I think he would have been really close, if not leading the championship by now.
I do think Ronaldo Carlos has probably been the fastest driver this season. I think just as a whole, I guess, the single fastest driver on pace alone, on average, but has made a lot of mistakes, as you say there, JB. Has had a lot of things go wrong, as Scott Angelo will take the white flag this time presented by Whiplash Simcams. But I think you're hitting something pretty big there. Is definitely Ronaldo Carlos has been the top driver of the series at several points in time, just has never been able to wrap things up, as there's a problem for Philip Badurka in the elbow, and we saw some flashing there from Diego Eda. A lot going on here as we begin the final lap.
Yeah, you can see he had to back off for 1 second, for a few seconds right there. And that was just in turn 18, wasn't it? That was just exiting that mountain section on Forest Elbow. So another mistake we saw right there, Andrew. I think that's the second one that at least we caught on camera. Obviously, a few more could have happened before. And we're going to
This is first what happened with Diego Eda and Chris Sanchez. We'll go back and look at Philip Badurka potentially in a few moments. We might have hit the timing a little bit wrong, so we'll move forward a little bit. It's going to happen around turn 2. Then we'll get to our race leaders here on the final lap of racing at Bathurst. And this is up the mountain straight for Diego Eda, Chris Sanchez, and it looks like Milan Harris. What happens here?
So you can see right here, it looks like they're not close enough, but Diego might look towards the inside. Not quite. Oh, he gets hit. Wow. Oh, that was an opportunistic. That's why we saw headlight flashing. I think that was just due to frustration.
That's honestly, in my opinion, a very fair flash, as we've had a problem for Dan Willis on the final lap. It's not going to affect a whole lot, but it does give a few positions to drivers in this field, such as Stacey Bertrand, Michael Clark, Philip Badurka, Matthew O'Leary, Brandon Louvier, as here we go down the Conrad straight for the final time tonight. It is Scott Angelo in control of things here at Bathurst, and he is going to go to victory lane so long as he completes just a few more corners. The Chase and Murray's Corner here at Bathurst, standing between car 68 and a pretty big statement victory in round number 8 of 8 in season number 2 for the North American Racing League Porsche Cup season. Here we go. down to Murray's Corner, the final corner, turn 23 here at Bathurst, with the headlights on, the sun down. It's going to be Scott Angelo from Radness and Oceana Coffee going to victory lane at Bathurst. A solid statement win.
What a victory, and what a way to wrap up his season with a dominant victory. And just 4 seconds behind him, Andrew, I think we're ready to crown a champion.
That we are. Across the start-finish line, Bobby Flack will go to a different kind of victory lane this evening. Not quite for a race win, but a championship win. This is big for Team Empire and Bobby Flack. Car number 88 wrapping up a big championship here this season.
And I think he's going to be one happy man, Andrew. And I mean, he should be. What a season he had. And well, what a final race he had. I think it was full of emotions after qualifying. And obviously after that turn 1, I mean, it was looking pretty good, I should say. As you can see here, the rest of the guys just flashing their headlights. And well, Andrew, that's one of the races done. And that's, I guess, 50% of the championship done.
Yeah, that is Scott Angelo in victory lane, Bobby Flack with the laurels, if you will, winning the championship this evening. Stacey Bertrand, who came into tonight second, just 10 points back, will go 7th, 5 extra spots behind Bobby Flack, but Ronaldo Carlos made up a lot of spots, at least in the race, finishes in the top 5, 5th tonight with Drew Swank 6th, so I think definitely Bobby Flack brought his A-game tonight. Maybe had been focusing on Bathurst for an extra week or two, and maybe that's why we saw a bit of an off week last week at Suzuka. Bobby Flack executing this evening, 4.3 seconds behind Scott Angelo, and taking home the championship as a few more cars finish up. Diego Etta will come across the line. Chris Sanchez with problems here at the end, and oh boy, he is going on an excursion there in the chase.
Yes, he did. It looks like he's going to just put the car back on tarmac for the final corner of the season under racing conditions, obviously. And there he goes. So that mistake, I guess it was short-lived as he finally crosses the finish line. And there you go. That's another driver wrapping up his season. As looks like one of the final ones as well, just crosses the finish line. And I think that's going to be it.
Now, something on the final lap happened to Dan Willis, who was in a pretty solid position going into lap 15. Let's go back and see what happened to him here. This is pretty big inside the top 5, right behind Ronaldo Carlos, or I guess inside the top 10, just out of the top 5. Was a top 5 driver most of the evening. And, got really wide there in the elbow and pops the wall. That could be some damage as it is. Looks okay.
I thought the car was going to be crabbing quite a bit, and maybe that could have induced a mistake, but looks like all set as he heads into the chase. This is where we could see the major mistake.
And this was coming to the white flag, I believe. Car 127 into the chase, the braking zone there, no issue, pops the curbing. No issue yet, I'm surprised. I thought it would have happened by now, but it might be down here in Murray's Corner. Could he have popped the curb a little too much, or am I looking for turn 1? Oh, there it is. Oh, right in the Repco barrier.
That's big. That's just coming into the white flag, is it?
Yes.
Oh, it's heartbreaking. And that was, I guess he hit one of the hardest barriers he could have hit on the final lap.
It's a tough way to wrap things up for Dan Willis, but we have got his teammate who wraps up a race win this evening from Bathurst. Let's go ahead and grab Scott Angelo with a big victory now under his belt. Scott, congratulations. Obviously, the start was a good way to get things started, but how did you hang on for 15 mistake-free laps?
Hey, how you doing? Well, it's Bathurst. It's I consider it my home track, and I love the place, and I've been around it personally, and it's just a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of thanks to the boys at Radness, and especially Coach Stu. We put a lot of time in, and it's been fun. I love this track, and when you've got it going on, you just stay focused, and otherwise it bites, and when it bites hard.
You call Bathurst your home track. I can hear the accent, but the club is Florida. Tell us about where you're from. We haven't talked to you yet, Scott. Tell us about yourself.
Where do I start? Living in Florida these days. I was a marine engineer in the past, and just I ended up over here in the US working on yachts, and loved the place. Found a girl, and the rest is kind of history, as they say. So here I am, an Aussie boy in Florida, and what can I say? It's been fun. You guys have done an amazing job, and I love Bathurst. I'm so happy to bring off the win, and yeah.
It's always you Aussies who find a way to win here at Bathurst, it feels like. I'm sure Matthew Dench will win the next race, but congratulations to you, Scott. It seems like you guys always rise to the occasion, and it's good to finally see Car 68 in victory lane here in the North American Racing League.
It's been a long time. I know I've been a bit of a naughty boy this season, and I've copped some punishment. But I have to thank Scott Rister, who does a great job, and the North American Racing League is an awesome league. It really, really is. But at the top of the list, I got to thank the boys at Maradnas. Definitely got to thank Dan and Stu, and all the boys in our team are an amazing bunch of guys. And it's such a fun community and environment to be involved in, and a great series. So I'm really, really happy to win here.
Love the stealthy Oceanic Coffee number 68. Love that new black livery that you've got on that car. Hopefully we see more of you in the future, Scott. Congratulations this evening. We'll talk to you hopefully next season, whenever that one comes.
Yeah, thanks guys. You've done an amazing job, and it's really been awesome to watch and hear the commentary. You guys do a great job. Thanks.
Definitely appreciate that, Scotty. He will wrap things up with a win here this evening at Bathurst, and a win over somebody that I think has executed quite a bit this season. JP, Bobby Flack finishing second and taking the championship.
So, Bobby, you came in, first in the championship, qualified fifth, finished second, but at the end of the day, you won the championship. How was today's race from your point of view?
Well, thank you. It was a lot of fun. This track's always nerve-wracking. Things can go wrong in a hurry in so many places. So it was an interesting situation being in second. With, of course, I wanted to try and chase him down and race him, but at the end I didn't have his pace. So very happy for another second place finish. I believe that's 4 now. And yeah, got the overall. I honestly can't believe it.
So, obviously, I think everything kind of set itself up right on turn number 1. What was your point of view, and what was your reaction after you got second place?
Honestly, it just seems like how it's worked out for me all year. I expected something, but that was a little different than I thought might happen. And yeah, just kind of got lucky and was on the inside of who, I don't know, a couple guys that spun out, and yeah, I was able to come out P2 and just really have a pretty easy race.
And obviously that you, won the championship. How do you reflect on this kind of long season, since round number 1? How do you reflect on it?
It's been a long season. I put a lot of work in, and it's nice to see it pay off, but it's always a little nerve-wracking, with these cars, and yeah, gosh, I don't even know what to say. It's just I would have been happy with a top 5 going into the season with the caliber of speed, that's in this field. So many fast guys that just have some terrible luck, it seems, and yeah, this is a really nice honor to win this championship.
And how do you plan? What does the future hold for Bobby Flack?
Well, just continue racing here in the North American Racing League. I love this league. I think this is the 3rd one. Second P Cup, then a GT3. I'll be back for GT3, and unfortunately, probably have to race with not a lot faster guys, but a little stouter field, and I'll have my work cut out for me for sure next season.
Well, definitely going to keep an eye out for you next season. If you expected a top 5 this one and you won it, who knows what's going to happen on the next few ones. But Bobby, I'm not going to, I guess, cut your championship winning feeling right now. And I'm going to let you enjoy it with your team or your family or whoever you're celebrating with. So well done. And hopefully we'll talk to you in the future.
All right. Yeah, I just want to thank you guys for everything you've done all season. You do a great job. It's a great broadcast. And you do great for our league. And just thanks to Team Empire, Windrider.com, Rocket Designs, and yeah, everybody. So thank you very much.
Thank you, and congratulations, Bobby, on the championship.
Thank you.
So, Andrew, that was the number 88, our amateur champion tonight. And, he's kind of pretty happy. He did a stellar job throughout the season, but I think it might be that time of transitioning where we need to crown 2 more champions tonight.
Yeah, we'll quickly go through the amateur race results here this evening. Scott Angelo wins, Bobby Flack second. We talked about our championship competitors kind of in Ronald Carlos, Drew Swank, and Stacey Bertrand, who all came up short tonight, 5th, 6th, and 7th. Matthew O'Leary, they are hanging on for a top 10. Brandon Louvier, Diego Eda, Chris Sanchez, Dan Willis, and Milan Harris all finished on the lead lap. Kerry Corcoran, the first car, 1 lap down. Billy Bowerman there in 20th, and a few cars here at the end. Armando Bejaran, not quite making the show. Joe Nagy there in 22nd, Sully Sad in 21st. But that will do it for the amateur portion of the evening. We've got to go ahead and step aside and get ready for pros and pro-ams here from Mount Panorama Circuit at Bathurst, Australia. We'll be right back in just a few moments for pro, hopefully back into pro qualifying, and the grid and the race for 50 minutes to crown a few champions. Welcome back to the virtual Bathurst. We're having some problems here, guys. I want to be open and honest about what's going on. Quite frankly, this is a new one for me. I don't quite know what to do just yet. We'll have race cars on the screen at the very least, if that's what we have to do, but we might not have graphics. This is a new one. ATVO, which is the program we use for all of the graphics on screen, has completely quit out. I can't open it. It crashed at the back end of the amateur race. I just want to be open and honest about what's going on. I'm going to continue working through it, but in the meantime, JP is going to work through our standings here as I try and find a remedy. So JP, go ahead and take it away. We've got quite the battle on hand.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, I think the main battle we're going to have today is going to be the pro battle. Dino Filippa currently leading Victor Miranda by only 3 points. So it's very close between those two. We know how close they are on pace, on qualifying, and on race pace. Obviously, last week they had a coming together, and that was, I guess, a big talking point when we talk about the standings. So only 3 points separate them. Chance for Victor to win the second championship, and obviously a chance for Dino to win his. Eric Goldner, Victor's teammate, currently sits 25 points behind, so unfortunately he's going to be out of the equation for the championship, but he leads Lawrence Zavadil by only 1 point, so that's an interesting battle to take a look for third place in the Pro Championship. Meanwhile, if you switch to the Pro-Am side of things, Ryan Kerr currently leads Scott Reiser by 3 points, and if the information stands correct, I don't think we're going to be seeing Scott Reiser on the field today, so that kind of promotes Trace Dawnhorn to second place. He currently sits 11 points behind Ryan Kerr on the standings. 1 point behind Trace, we're going to have Miguel Colon in fourth place, obviously 1 point behind, and then Mitchell Johnson 15 points behind the leader. So mathematically, as Andrew said, first on the amateur side, we're going to have 5 cars battling for the Pro-Am standings, for the Pro-Am championship, I should say. But realistically, we think the battle is going to be between Ryan Kerr and Trace Dawnhorn. Obviously, it's Bathurst. It's a 50-minute race, so everything can happen, Andrew. And it's certainly going to be a fantastic 15 minutes full of pressure for all of these drivers we mentioned.
Getting a look around the field, and we saw a few drivers we were talking about. Here's Miguel Colon in car 87. And something I told you specifically earlier, JP, was I feel like Miguel always had speed to win in Pro-Am, but it's a matter of whether or not he has speed to win and finish in the top 5 in points, or in overall. And I'm not sure that he necessarily does, but I definitely feel like Trey Drawhorn has so far this season. We'll see how that compares to this evening and how things might change. Let's go ahead and take a look a little further around this field. Here's car number 2, and for the life of me, I can't recall who car number 2 would be. And see, this is the challenge, and I'm gonna continue working through this as best as I can. This is a new one, and usually I've got kind of a backup plan when I need to, as here's Dino Filippa on screen, but this is a very new issue that I've not experienced before, so bear with us here. There's really not a whole lot of options. I know we're in the back end of qualifying in some way. This is a new one for us, JP, but we keep working through as we can.
Yeah, absolutely. It's certainly going to be, I guess, Andrew, not only racing at night around Bathurst, it's going to be a challenge for the drivers. It looks like we might have a challenge of our own, but here's, I guess, the first glimpse we can see of how, the drivers are looking at the track. Just full-on pitch black. I think we have conditions right now, only the headlights illuminating the track as I don't think we have any, I guess, artificial lighting around Bathurst, only on the main straightaway I think we do. So it's around full-on pitch black for these guys, and it's certainly going to be a challenge. Already in qualifying, you can see just how difficult it is, but obviously once we get over 30 cars on the racetrack, it should make it a little bit easier.
Dino will come into the pit lane and bring his qualifying run to a stop, it looks like. And that leaves us then, well, here is Brito DeCarmo. And we'll keep moving around the field. There is Stu on track. Let's see if we can go on board here with Giuliano Romagnolo. And this is a good view as well. We don't usually use the gyro in these Porsche Cup cars, but this is the gyro on board with Giuliano.
And I guess this is where we can see a bit of the surface of the track as well, how bumpy it is, and sometimes the challenge the drivers have to, just those small corrections under braking, under throttle as well. So it's not a flat surface, not a perfect surface, and we can see just the challenge that it goes, and we can see a few guys stopped on the racetrack right here, maybe practicing for a start. No, this is already lining up for the grid, I should say.
That it is. So as we're trying to float around here, there we go. We found the flag stand. This is going to be an interesting one, guys. I really do apologize for what's gone on, but unfortunately, ATVO has failed us. We might try and watch through the start of the race and then see if we can flip to a secondary stream and try and restart here. This is a new one. I'm really not sure what to do, but we're going to try and work through it as best as we can. Regardless, we'll at least try and watch the start of the race. We don't have a starting grid, unfortunately. Well, actually, I know what I can do is I can read it from Emerson, who's being very nice to share it with us. So on pole, we're going to have Dino Filippo. He has qualified with that car out front. Bruno DeCarmo, second place in car 66. I did misidentify Tony Kanaan as Bruno, by the way, but Bruno starting from second, Roger Rosende third, Ricardo Rico in the fourth spot, Victor Miranda, who needs 3 points to tie Dino Filippo, will start from 5th. That's going to be an interesting challenge to watch. Laurent Zavadil 6th, Fabio Zamperlini 7th, and Eric Goldner and Wayne Castile. It looks like we'll wrap up the top 10 with Giuliano Romagnolo alongside. So Giuliano 9th, Wayne Castile in 10th. Matthew Dench will start from 11th, Ryan Kerr 12th, then Miguel Colon, Trey Drawhorn, and Mitchell Johnson 15th. Tony Kanaan starts 16th, Thomas Rayleigh, Alex Persian, let's see, and then 19th place, Lawi Santi, 20th, Lucas Souza, 21st, Nick Armstrong, a new name to me. We're still waiting on things to count down and get us to the race session. I believe that is happening just as we speak. As yes, I have green lights on my keyboard, and a green flag is out. We are racing here at Bathurst, albeit in a bit different conditions. We'll see what we can see here. Our leaders headed up to turn number 2 for the first time. Dino Filippo, Bruno DeCarmo, first and second, and a spin, and that is Roger Rosende in the wall in turn 2. He quickly toes and gets out of the way for these drivers as we'll have to wrap back around to the leaders here. They come out of the cutting, no problem there. Are we going to have 2 races in a row, JP, where we have no problems in the cutting lap 1?
Well, sometimes I think we might just have, I guess it's a stroke of luck, we call it, and looks like it is that exactly that case, and it looks like everybody makes it through. We just had Roger Rosende, as you mentioned, having troubles on turn number 2, but so far so good. Dino Filippo currently leading the field, as you can see. Not a big gap between him and Bruno DeCarmo, but it's exactly what he needs, leading the race. Victor Miranda, he's only in 4th place, so he made up 1 position, but is still far from what he needs tonight. And you can see it right here as we head into the dipper and on this final section of the mountain, how everybody is so close together. And you can see right here on the exit, we might see a few drivers scraping that Falcon tire barrier, but looks like everyone makes it through cleanly so far.
Headed down Conrad for the first time at pace. And our leaders having no issues so far as they all head into the chase. Very dark out there as Giuliano Romagnolo makes a move. And that is on Fabio Zamperlini. Contact on exit. Giuliano came over just a little bit. And here comes Matthew Dench, the Australian, now with a move on Fabio Zamperlini as Stu rejoins right by Tony Kanaan. And that was nearly chaotic. Thomas Rayleigh in the picture. And wow, what a way to wrap up lap number 1. Now what we're going to try and do here is give a quick system reset on my end. And this is kind of breaking the 4th wall a little bit because of the obvious situation of not having graphics. Yeah, so Coach, please follow along here. Unfortunately, we've had a graphics shutdown. The program has crashed. We're going to try and remedy that as we can. please do bear with us. We'll have graphics by the end of the race at some point. It's just a matter of how we get to that point. So lap 1 is complete. Dino Filippo leading. Second place going to Bruno Del Carmo, Ricardo Rico, Victor Miranda, Lauren Zalvidal, the rest of your top 5. So bear with us here as we're going to try and set up a backup plan and have everything set for you in just a few moments, at least in a few laps or so, and finish out this race. What you've just seen was Bruno Del Carmo into turn number 2, nearly making a move on Dino Filippo, and Victor Miranda goes right on by with, I gotta think here, Ricardo Rico and Lawrence Zavadil. And problems, certainly, I think Bruno Del Carmo is pulled off and towed at this point. So the driver that was second, battling with our race leader and point leader of Dino Filippo, has now pulled off and is done for the day, it looks like. Dino Filippo is still leading. We have a backup plan. We're working executing that here for you now. This is lap number 2 or 3 now. Honestly, it's escaping me as we're working through this. It wouldn't be a championship night without something just being a little bit wrong, it seems like, as Victor Miranda is now through to second place. So we have got your top 2 in the top 2 positions in order, and we'll see how this race works out. We're going to have a backup plan here in just a moment. It shouldn't change too much as to what you guys will see. Just a bit of a hiccup. We'll be right back.